Today we're going to take a look at how to measure seal gaps using the GapGun. Seal gaps are gaps that are inside closures on cars, normally around doors, hoods, tailgates, that kind of thing. And they're the area between the door and the main structure of the car. People that typically tend to measure these are going to be automotive OEMs, so the manufacturer of the car, and the manufacturer of components, so tier ones that make things like doors and supply them to the end customer. There are several reasons why measuring these areas is important to manufacturers. First of all, a correct seal gap size along here will make sure that the door doesn't leak when it rains, for example. It also means that there will be a reduction in wind noise, but the problem is that if you have the seal too tight, whilst it might not leak, it will wear the seal more quickly. So controlling that distance is quite important. Now there are a number of ways that this is already done. For example, they might use an electronic system. There are a number of those on the market. They may use a very low-tech system. So for example, they might put some kind of plasticine or putty in there and then measure the deformation of that. There are obvious benefits and obvious disadvantages to those, but an alternative is to use the GapGun. Now, there's a number of reasons why you might use the GapGun instead of one of these systems. For starters, using a GapGun is relatively inexpensive compared to an electronic system, because if they already have a GapGun, then they don't have to make that initial outlay again. It also means they have one system for measuring those inside gaps as well as the exterior gaps. It's also very robust. It's a mechanical system that's very solidly built, so it's unlikely to break very quickly. And it's also scalable because it's based around a set of blocks that can be added or removed as necessary. Now we're going to take a look at how we use the seal blocks. First of all, we need to install them into position on the door. Once we've done that, we pull the plunger to its maximum height. Once it's installed like that, we simply close the door and that will push the plunger to the height of the seal gap. And then we will use the GapGun with its special seal gap standoff to collect the measurement data from the blocks. There are a few key elements to a seal gap measurement system that uses a GapGun. First of all, there's a GapGun. It uses the FOV40 head. There are a set of blocks. These we refer to as friction blocks. And there is a special standoff for measuring the blocks. And now we'll take a closer look at how they all work together. There are two different types of friction block as standard. The magnetic type, which can be used on steel-bodied vehicles, and the screw-fix type, which can be used on aluminum-bodied vehicles. The typical range of seal gaps you can measure with a standard block is from around 9mm to 21mm. However, with the magnetic version, you can also add magnetic shims to the block to increase that range further. Another feature of the magnetic block is that it has a removable fixture on the bottom, meaning it's also suitable for 90-degree seal gap measurements, such as on the tailgate. The way the friction blocks work is there is a plunger on them which moves when you close the door. So when you install it, you pull it to its highest point, and when the door closes against it, it pushes it down to a set height. First of all, we're going to attach the seal blocks to the door. For magnetic blocks, we simply snap onto position on the door frame. For screw fit blocks, we simply push them against the frame and screw until tight. Now that the blocks are in position, I pull the plunger to its maximum position on each of them. Now we close the door, which will push the plungers on the block into position. Now we'll measure the blocks using the GapGun. This can be done either in situ on the door, or we can remove them. If we're going to remove them, we need to be careful not to touch the plunger, which will affect the measurements. Like all good demos, I've prepared a check plan to do this, and now I will go into the check plan and start to take my measurements. The check plan is like any other check plan you might see for measurement on the GapGun. It has a number of points set up. In this case I've set up 3 in one for left-hand door. These could also be mixed with normal exterior gap and flush measurements if I wanted to. I take a measurement like normal, and the measurements will appear in real time in the same way that any other gap would. Once the measurement is complete, it will move on to the next point in exactly the same way as any other type of measurement. I'll go through and measure all 3 of these points, and they will be stored, and then the measurement routine is complete. Taking a measurement with a supplied standoff is quick and easy, but make sure to keep your fingers out of the measurement range when you're doing so. As you can see, using the GapGun to measure seal gaps in this application is quick, easy and simple to set up. If you want to use the check plan or the tools that were used in this demonstration, contact the applications team at support@third.com, and if you have any questions about the installation of them in terms of the commercial nature or any background information, then contact the sales team at sales@third.com.